Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles, and then returning unto us to be itself. Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles, and then returning unto us to be itself. Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles, and then returning unto us to be itself, and then returning unto us to be itself. Well, hello. Thank you all so much for joining me to study A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students. I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready to look at Lesson 357 in A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students. We're reading the workbook out of the original edition, Lesson 357 today. And in a moment, we'll look at Song of Prayer, published by the Foundation for Inner Peace. And they're both the same voice, just in little different editions. And we have Foundation for Inner Peace's website, very supportive, acim.org. That's for the, and then for the original edition website, it's jcim.net, and that's for A Course in Miracles Society, the publisher of the version that we've been going through as far as the workbook's concerned. Lesson 357, Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles, and then returning unto us to be itself. So first, truth responds with miracles. What's a miracle? Well, a miracle is a change of perception, you might say, to love, to a realization that love is real, aside from the appearances that make it seem like love is not real. So, miracles, which are based on forgiveness, are also an illusion, because the only reality is love. But forgiveness and the miracle that follows in its footsteps is the closest approximation of miracles that we can get in this dream of sin and guilt. But we begin to awaken, and we awaken completely as we continue to practice forgiveness and receive the miracles that truth has to give to us. Now, with that in mind, let me read it again. Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles, and then returning unto us to be itself. Okay, forgiveness, truth's reflection, tells me how to offer miracles and thus escape the prison house in which I think I live. Your Holy Son is pointed out to me, first in my brother, then in me. Your voice instructs me patiently to hear your word and give as I receive. And as I look upon your Son today, I hear your voice instructing me to find the way to you, as you appointed that the way shall be. Behold his sinlessness, and be you healed. Behold your brother's sinlessness, therefore you'll be healed. And of course, as you see your brother's sinlessness, of course you see what you might consider to be your own sinlessness. Of course, remember, we're all in this together, and what you see in your brother is you. So that's why you want to see him as sinless, because you want to see yourself as sinless, which are really one and the same. Okay, where truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles and then returning unto us to be itself. Okay, let's look now at the Song of Prayer. And we are ready for, let's see, what is it? We're in chapter 1, which is prayer. And we're ready for section 3, praying for others. We said that prayer is always for yourself. And this is so. Why then should you pray for others at all? If you should, how should you do it? Praying for others, if rightly understood, becomes a means for lifting your projections of guilt from your brother and enabling you to recognize it is not he who is hurting you. The poisonous thought that he is your enemy, your evil counterpart, your nemesis, must be relinquished before you can be saved from guilt. For this is the means, the means is prayer, of rising power and with ascending goals until it reaches even up to God. So you might think of the ladder of prayer we studied yesterday, and the lower portions of the ladder, you want to pray for others because that's what raises you up to be able to reach God. Because it helps you to realize that they're not your enemy. They're your brother, and that you do love them, and that you want their good. The earlier forms of prayer at the bottom of the ladder, this is in paragraph 2, by the way, the earlier forms of prayer at the bottom of the ladder will not be free from envy and malice. They call for vengeance, not for love. Nor do they come from one who understands that they are calls for death, made out of fear by those who cherish guilt. They call upon a vengeful God, and it is he who seems to answer them. Hell cannot be asked for another, and then escaped by him who asks for it. Only those who are in hell can ask for hell. Those who have been forgiven and who have accepted their forgiveness could never make a prayer like that. 3. At these levels, then, the learning goal must be to recognize that prayer will bring an answer only in the form in which the prayer was made. And that is enough. From here, it will be an easy step to the next level. The next ascent begins with this: what I have asked for my brother is not what I would have. Thus have I made of him my enemy. That's a realization that comes to you after the first rung is passed. And what's the first rung? Beginning paragraph 3 again. At these levels, then, the learning goal must be recognized that prayer will bring an answer only in the form in which the prayer was made. In other words, he wants us to start looking at what we're wanting, what we're asking for. What do you desire in your life? And if you desire to attack and to hold others away from you, and the idea that that's protection, and that to use anger and attack to protect yourself, then that's the world that you'll manifest. At these levels, then, the learning goal must be recognized that prayer will bring an answer only in the form in which the prayer was made. And that is enough. If you learn that what you're asking for, that's a big step. From here, it will be an easy step to the next levels. The next ascent begins with this: what I have asked for my brother is not what I would have. Thus have I made of him my enemy. It is apparent that this step cannot be reached by anyone who sees no value or advantage to himself in setting others free. It is apparent that this step cannot be reached by anyone who sees no value or no advantage to himself in setting others free. This may be long delayed because it may seem to be dangerous instead of merciful. To the guilty there seems indeed to be a real advantage in having enemies, and this imagined gain must go if enemies are to be set free. To the guilty there seems indeed to be a real advantage in having enemies, and this imagined gain must go if enemies are to be set free. He's trying to help you to understand how to set your enemies free. Paragraph 4. Guilt must be given up and not concealed. You don't want to just hide it, do we? We don't want to have any or see it anywhere. Nor can this be done without some pain, and a glimpse of the merciful nature of this step may for some time be followed by a deep retreat into fear. For fear's defenses are fearful in themselves, and when they are recognized, they bring their fear with them. Yet what advantage has an illusion of escape ever brought a prisoner? His real escape from guilt can lie only in the recognition that the guilt has gone. And how can this be recognized as long as he hides it in another and does not see it as his own? And how can this be recognized as long as he hides it in another and does not see it as his own? In other words, to say, you're guilty, you're wrong. He hadn't realized yet that by saying that, he's condemning himself to wrongness or guilt, or fear, I should say. They go together, Judgment, guilt, fear, attack, anger. They're all one and the same beast that we're learning to be free from. Fear of escape makes it difficult to welcome freedom, and to make a jailer of an enemy seems to be safety. How then can he be released without an insane fear for yourself? You have made of him your salvation and your escape from guilt. Your investment in this escape is heavy, and your fear of letting it go is strong. Paragraph 5. Stand still an instant now, and think what you have done. Do not forget that it is you who did it, and who can therefore let it go. Hold out your hand. This enemy has come to bless you. Take his blessing and feel how your heart is lifted and your fear released. Do not hold on to it, nor on to him. He is a son of God along with you. He is no jailer, but a messenger of Christ. Be this to him, that you may see him thus. And last paragraph, 6. It is not easy to realize that prayers for things, for status, for human love, for external gifts of any kind are always made to set up jailers and to hide from guilt, to conceal it. These things are used for goals that substitute for God and therefore distort the purpose of prayer. The desire for them is the prayer. The desire for them is the prayer. You pray for a world of guilt by seeing your brother guilty. I desire to see that. Oh, we wouldn't think we would say that, but we got to look a little deeper and see what we really are asking for. The desire for them is the prayer. One need not ask explicitly. The goal of God is lost in the quest for lesser goals of any kind, and prayer becomes requests for enemies. The power of prayer can be quite clearly recognized even in this. No one who wants an enemy will fail to find one, but just as surely will he lose the only true goal that is given him. Think of the cost and understand it well. All other goals are at the cost of God. Wow. Okay, well, let's go take a look now again at our lesson. I've got it clipped up here by my phone so I can kind of be looking at you. Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles, and then returning unto us to be itself. Okay, now let's go take a look into edible landscaping, and I've got a really interesting plant. I've only found it offered at ediblelandscaping.com, and it's the Seedless Che, C-H-E. Its Latin name is Cudrania tricuspidata. Tricuspidata? Cudrania tricuspidata. And what it is, it's we're going to read about it, and then I want to tell you a little bit more about what it's grafted on and how this thing works. It's a really amazing plant to me. I'm kind of partial to Osage oranges, maybe because I have a lot of, the Osage tribe was the original tribe on the land that I lived on, and I still communicate with their presence, I might say it that way. I have a lot of respect for the indigenous tribes of all the properties or all the lands of the world. And anyway, it was grafted on an Osage orange. We'll talk more about it in a second. Seedless Che from Edible Landscaping. Seedless Che, exclusively from Edible Landscaping. Our Seedless Che is a small, rounded, fall-fruiting ornamental tree. In the deep south, Che ripens in mid-July, and in Virginia, it ripens late September through October. Grafted on an Osage orange to prevent suckering, these are superior trees. Bear splendid crops of lovely red fruit clusters over the entire tree, a center of attention at ripening time. Fully ripe fruits are juicy, sweet, very pleasant, and fig-like in taste. Birds don't bother the fruits, completely seedless and self-fertile, makes great preserves, space 14-foot circles, and zones 6 through 9. Now, I said it was they said it was grafted on an Osage orange. Well, an Osage orange is a Maclura pomifera, and it's also named, some other common names for the Osage orange is Hedge Apple, or just hedge. They used to make hedges out of them because of all the thorns. It was the original barbed wire, you might even think of it as. They'd make hedges to keep the livestock in because they didn't like to go through all those thorns. Also known as horse apple. Horses love them. My horses like to eat them all the time. Got them all eaten up underneath the trees they can get to. Also known as Boised'ark, which is wood of the bow in French, made the excellent bows for the indigenous people, the Osage, and also known as Osage Orange. Okay, that's your Seedless Che. All right, let's take a look now at our associated reading with our lesson today. Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles, and then returning unto us to be itself. And that associated reading is, what am I? I am God's Son, complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of His love. In me is His creation sanctified and guaranteed eternal life. In me is love perfected, fear impossible, and joy established without opposite. I am the holy home of God Himself. I am the holy home of God Himself. I am the heaven where His love resides. I am the heaven where His love resides. I am His holy sinlessness itself. For in my purity abides His own. Wow. Our use for words is almost over now. Yet in the final days of this 1 year we gave to God together, you and I, we found a single purpose that we shared. Wow. What is that single purpose that we share? The way I like to think of it is we like to see our innocence with each other. our holiness, our oneness. And thus you joined with me. We found a single purpose that we shared, and thus you joined with me, so says Jesus. So what I am, are you as well. The truth of what we are is not for words to speak of nor describe. Yet we can realize our function here, and words can speak of this and teach it too, if we exemplify the words in us. We are the bringers of salvation. We accept our part as saviors of the world, which through our joint forgiveness is redeemed. Our joint forgiveness is redeemed. And this our gift is therefore given us. We look on everyone as brother and perceive all things as kindly and as good. We do not seek a function that has passed the gate of heaven. Knowledge will return when we have done our part. We are concerned only with giving welcome to the truth. Ours are the eyes through which Christ's vision sees a world redeemed from every thought of sin. Ours are the ears that hear the voice of God proclaim the world as sinless. Ours are the minds which join together as we bless the world. And from the oneness that we have attained, we call to all our brothers, asking them to share our peace and consummate our joy. We are the holy messengers of God who speaks for him, and carrying his word to everyone whom he has sent to us, we learn that it is written on our hearts. God's word's written on our hearts. What a wonderful thing we've learned. Wow, that we can listen to God's voice just by listening to the voice of love, the voice of peace. And thus our minds are changed about the aim for which we came and which we seek to serve. We bring glad tidings to the Son of God who thought he suffered. Now is he redeemed. And as he sees the gate of heaven stand open before him, he will enter in and disappear into the heart of God. Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles and then returning unto us to be itself. Lesson 357. Forgiveness, truth's reflection, tells me how to offer miracles and thus escape the prison house in which I think I live. Your Holy Son is pointed out to me, first in my brother, then in me. First in my brother, then in me. Your voice instructs me patiently to hear your word and give as I receive. And as I look upon your Son today, I hear your voice instructing me to find the way to you, as you appointed that the way shall be. Behold his sinlessness, and be you healed. Thank you all so much for joining me, and do the best you can at your morning and evening quiet time and your hourly remembrance of God. Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles, and then returning unto us to be itself. Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles, and then returning unto us to be itself. Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles, and then returning unto us to be itself, and then returning unto us to be itself. returning unto us to be itself. Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles, and then returning unto us to be itself, and then returning unto us to be itself. Truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles, and then returning unto us to be itself.